Carl Conrad and welcome to Australian Immigration News, proudly brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services here in Sydney. This week the Immigration Department released news that in an effort to speed up visa processing for many temporary visas, they decided to scrap the requirements for medical examinations for the following visas. You can see here from the list the most popular ones being the Working Holiday Visa, the 482 Employer Sponsored Visa, the Student Visa and the 485 Graduate Skill Visa. Just hit the pause button to take a good look to see if your visa is there on the list. This move will definitely improve the processing times. Due to the pandemic and the inability to book medical tests, many of these visas took more than 12 months to process simply because it was nearly impossible to make appointments. If you have already booked an appointment and now you do not need one, the medical centre will call you to arrange a refund. However, there are still a number of prescribed circumstances where a medical test will still be required. You have applied for a medical treatment, temporary protection or a provisional visa. You expect to incur medical costs or require medical treatment, or you intend to work or study to be a doctor, dentist, nurse or paramedic. You will enter a hospital, age or disability care facility if a higher tuberculosis risk. You are pregnant and intending to have a baby in Australia, or you will work or train in an Australian childcare centre. You are aged over 75 years if applying for a visitor visa. You have a previous household contact with tuberculosis, or you are requested to do so by the department. If you haven't already noticed lately, the department's website showing the occupations invited in the August and October Skill Select rounds. They now have offshore and onshore columns. There are of course a number of depressing NAs in the onshore column. Recently a number of clients have come to us with a 189 visa invitation and are both happy and worried because they ticked their country of usual residence being their home country, even though they are recently living in Australia. Since there is no definition of a person's usual country of residence, they were entitled to think that since they were on a temporary visa and intending to return home, their own country was their usual place where they live. And now they have an invitation, so good for them. We have advised clients that an EOI is not an application, as the immigration points out to us quite often. And the most important aspect of the legislation is that you gain the points that you claimed in your expression of interest. Of course, your point score has nothing to do with your country of usual residence. It is our opinion that the application can be legally lodged, and they should meet all the Schedule 2 regulations for the 189 visa in a positive manner. If anyone has received a 189 invitation and they have concerns, please book a time with us and we'll discuss the matter in detail. This week's ABC Four Corners report was all about the worsening skill shortages and the impact they were having on regional towns across Australia. The Minister for Home Affairs, Claire O'Neil, looks somewhat uncomfortable in having to explain yet again what her department is doing to speed up the processing of backlogged applications.
The federal government says it will prioritise repairing Australia's broken visa processing system.
Look, when we arrived in office at the end of May, I was genuinely staggered by what I saw. It was a system that was completely clogged up, understaffed, completely focused on bureaucracy and filling out forms. And we've been working really hard since then to try to make a big change to the visa processing system of the department, because it just doesn't reflect how important this is for Australia's future.
After watching this program, I felt rather depressed. How can Australians accept the fact that we need so many skilled workers but whinge about raising the migration cap to 195,000? Clearly this program hammered the point home that 195,000 is nowhere near enough to fill the skill shortages. I think that is why the Minister was looking rather tense, for she surely knew this already. The ABC News also ran a story this week about how half the migrant engineers in Australia are either unemployed or working in other sectors. This is despite the article pointing out that Australia has a shortage of 30,000 engineers currently, and that is predicted to reach 100,000 by 2030. Clearly, the industry needs to give migrant engineers a chance. Businesses must develop internship programs for new engineering migrants to help them adjust to the way Australia operates and in turn let them see what their skills are and what they can demonstrate. If there are shortages as a country, we need to utilize the talent that we have here already, which businesses must be prepared to train and develop potential. It would seem that despite all the visa processing woes in Australia, international students are fast returning in droves. According to a report in the Australian newspaper, international students are showing an increased preference for Australia, whilst Canada is just remaining steady. However, the article did demonstrate that Canada is ahead of Australia as a preference, but not by much. No doubt the streamlining of student visas will help boost the numbers in Australia again to pre-pandemic levels. Now, many of us would have watched those airport custom dramas where people are detained in tiny back rooms for hours on end until Border Force officials attempt to squeeze out confessions of their newly arrived temporary residents. SBS ran a story this week on how an Indonesian man had his tourist visa cancelled, was detained for 3 days and then kicked out of Australia. In the end, it turned out that he did not speak English well, and claims have been made that the department officers badgered him repeatedly in English until they determined they had obtained a confession he had come to Australia to work. The lack of understanding English here was clearly a factor, and the family claimed he was treated unfairly because he was not given access to a translator. This article drew a fast response from the department, stating, "Every traveller who enters Australia and undertakes a border clearance interview is offered the service of an interpreter if they are not confident in communicating in English." I wonder which one we should believe here. The Immigration Department on Thursday released the news that it will be automatically extending the temporary humanity stay visas due to the worsening situation in Ukraine. For those Ukrainians who are on other visas and have Condition 8503 imposed upon them, they can apply to have that condition waived, so they are then free to make further visa applications. Please read the details on the Immigration Department's website carefully to find out what provisions are there for you to take advantage of. We will leave a link in the description below. Now, when it comes to skill shortages, they are directly linked to processing delays, and one of the worst examples is the 887 visa. In a recent FOI request we made to the Immigration Department, we have found that on the 31st of August 2022, there were 19,171 visas still to be processed. You can see from the table here that the number of grants for the 887 visa have declined sharply since the Labor government took office. At the end of March this year, 278 visas were granted. However, by the end of May, that figure was reduced to just 11. This is quite a drop, and these figures are concerning. It demonstrates the government's lack of compassion to these visa applicants who have bravely publicly demonstrated over the lengthy processing delays. I know that many 887 visa applicants will find these figures distressing, and we can only hope that after the 31st of August, processing has started again in earnest. We will leave a link for the FOI result in the description below. And it's time again for a couple of our viewers' comments of the week. The first is from Farak Al-Sahara. I recently got invited at 65 points for mechanical engineer offshore, but I'm actually curious to understand, is there an actual reason why they're prioritizing offshore compared to onshore applicants? Any actual benefits? I mean, wouldn't it make more sense to invite onshore? I'm just trying to understand the rationale. I ain't complaining though. Of course, this is what thousands of people are wondering too, Farak. Congratulations on your invitation, firstly. A win is still a win, and we hope you make the most of your good fortune. The Minister has stated that offshore priority is just a temporary measure, but gave no indication of how long this would be in place. The sole justification provided is to get more skilled workers into Australia as soon as possible. Now, we have stated this is a short-sighted, unfair policy, but of course that is not your fault for being invited, so the best of luck to you. Our second comment is from Pritpal Singh, who wrote in, "Hello Carl, thank you for updating us. Yesterday I got my 489 visa after 3 years. Once again, thanks for your support." Really nice to hear this, so I thought I would share the good news that after such a long time, positive things can still happen. So for all of you out there still waiting for processing, hang in there and they will get to you. And on that positive note, thanks to all of you for watching and those who leave their comments to support this channel. We will be releasing our special budget edition edition on Wednesday night covering what is news regarding immigration matters. If you need assistance, please book an appointment on our website at australiavisa.com. If it's urgent, please call us to see if we can make an extra space for you. As always, take care out there and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.